Well, we know there's a lot of NFL players under more pressure and also some in very bad situations. But what players are going to fall off a cliff in their statistical category this season?
Let's talk football.
Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast for sports, or everything on this channel. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we are going over a top 10 list as the top 10 players that will fall off a cliff next season, honoring the great Max Kellerman, who was a part of First Take for years, that created this whole narrative, that created the narrative of falling off a cliff when he did discuss it multiple times when Tom Brady was still in the NFL. So, to honor Max Kellerman, I decided to create a top 10 list of my top 10 players that are going to fall off a cliff next season. Now, to keep in mind, I am judging these because of what their situations are. And I'm also judging them on what happened last year as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please make sure to do me a favor and smash the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. But for now, let's get into this list. Find these are in no particular order as well, just as a heads up. So first up is Rashee Rice. Now, Rashee Rice, of course, the wide receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs. Why I believe he's going to fall off a cliff is because they got so many receivers that he might not be able to perform with. You already got Juju there. You got Marquise Hollywood Brown there, Xavier Worthy, and the tight end, Travis Kelce, also along with three running backs in Isaiah Pacheco, Elijah Mitchell, and Kareem Hunt. I'm not thinking this guy's going to get the ball much because he might be given a suspension. We don't know that yet. But because of the whole history behind receivers of Kansas City, I am taking their man that was Rashee Rice as one of the players that are going to fall off a cliff in the statistical category next season. Next up is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, of course, was known for the notorious drop that he had against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs last year. But when I look at Mark Andrews, there is a lot of pressure on his shoulders because Raven fans are still getting at him to this day, and they have not forgotten about that drop. So I'm looking at the pressure that are going to be on his shoulders. He's a good receiver, a good tight end in the regular season. I'm expecting that to drop off a little bit because Mark Andrews is an amazing tight end, but that one instance is going to have a lot of pressure on his shoulders from both his fan base and around the NFL, which is why I have Mark Andrews falling off a cliff. Coming in next up is Javonte Williams, the newest Dallas Cowboy. Javonte Williams is an outstanding running back. But when you got three likely different defenses that you got to face off against that are likely going to be threatening, including the Giants, you got to look at, and also the Commanders and Eagles, you got to look at Javonte Williams and say, what did he walk himself into? Because in Denver, he was really good. But now he's going into a very bad situation in Dallas. Because the Cowboys, we know they ain't going to make the playoffs next year. We all know that. But when I look at Javonte Williams, I'm looking at the offensive line of the Cowboys. They are just not built to help in the run games. They should have gotten Derrick Henry when he was available. But because of this, I have Javonte Williams, one of the players of falling off a cliff. Next up is Brandon Ayuk. This man, of course, was dealt with an injury last year, but because of the injury, I have him falling off a cliff. Because Brandon Ayuk is just not the same guy that he was. He's only had one good season. and that was the year that they went to the Super Bowl. That's the only good year he's had. So I'm looking at the entire integrity of Brandon Ayuk. If he does get traded, that could harm the 49ers. But no matter what, I do not expect for Brandon Ayuk to be a good player next season in the NFL, which is why I have him falling off a cliff. Next up is Drake London. Drake London is an outstanding receiver, but he doesn't have a competent quarterback that we know for sure is going to be the starter. So because of that, I have Drake London being falling off a cliff because he does not have a true number one quarterback. Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix are not good quarterbacks. Penix has potential, but he's not going to get it in his second year. This is a very likely big situation for the Falcons because Drake London is likely going to drop off because they don't have the quarterback to complement that offense, which is why I have Drake London falling off a cliff. Next up is Dak Prescott. Prescott, this man, of course, coming off an injury, a reason why I have him on this list. Because we know injuries impact players both mentally and physically. They can harm you in a specific way, especially if it's an Achilles, which Dak did not suffer. Achilles is a very big injury that you cannot come back from. But I'm looking at Dak Prescott. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be the same. With including the offensive line, the receivers, and the running backs he has, he is not gonna be able to get past Philly, Giants, or the Commanders.
Hey there. Listen, about what I said earlier.
Because they are going to he is going to fall off a cliff, being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and that's why I have Dak on this list. Next up is a guy I respect, but I have to do it. Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is coming off an ACL tear. We know this injury can really drop off a player. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers last season. We saw it with Kirk Cousins. The same thing is going to happen with Christian McCaffrey. He is not going to be that same player that the 49ers need. He's not going to be that same guy because Christian McCaffrey, let's just say it, is not a good receiver. He's not. He's not a good running back because he's made 2 Super Bowls, one with Carolina, one with San Francisco. He has not been able to get the job done with either organization because whenever it comes to the big games for him, he just can't find a way to win games. He just can't. And more importantly, with this injury, is going to drop off his statistics dramatically because I believe Christian McCaffrey is not going to even hit 1,000 yards rushing because the offensive line of the 49ers is horrid, especially if Trent Williams retires. And also, their quarterback is just a game manager. I just don't trust Christian McCaffrey with both his injuries and the situation he's in. So that's why I have Christian McCaffrey on this list. Next up is George Pickens. George Pickens, I believe, is going to fall off a cliff because now DK is the number one receiver. DK Metcalf is now the number one receiver. And George Pickens is going to want the ball, but he's going to constantly drop it and get into fights. And he can't even block right. He can't even block. When I look at this receiving core, DK is the true number one. George Pickens is not. Because DK is going to be a much better receiver than George Pickens is. Because George Pickens is not a true number one receiver. He is just a number 2 or number 3 receiver. He just doesn't have that killer instinct that Jerry Rice has. So because of that, I have George Pickens falling off a cliff. Next up is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, I believe, is going to drop off a cliff because he just plays in the best conference in the best division, and that is the NFC East, and it's more loaded than it's been before. Those defenses in the secondary are getting stronger. especially the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, that you are now afraid to go against.
I just love the smell of fear.
And the Cowboys just don't have that offense that is eye popping. They don't have the offensive coordinator. They don't have a defense. They don't have an offense. And because of that, I see CeeDee Lamb falling off a cliff. And the last player that I have falling off a cliff is Brock Purdy. Let me explain. Brock Purdy just lost his best receiver in Deebo Samuel, who only had a down year because of the injuries around the team, since that's what the excuse is from last season from not a fans. So I'm going to use that. Only way that Brock Purdy's going to be a relevant quarterback next year is if he gets an offensive line. Offensive line is trash. Only guy on there that we know is a superstar is Trent Williams. They've had to struggle for years. And also now you got different receivers. George Kittle and Jawan Jennings are your true number ones right now. And now you got a running back issue with Christian McCaffrey now coming off an ACL. Brock Purdy doesn't have the offense to support him. He doesn't have 5 all-pro players. He now has 3, arguably. George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, and Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey might not be the same player again. So I'm looking at this team without 5 all-pro players on the offensive side of the ball. They are not going to be a good team next year. Brock Purdy, because he's a game manager, is going to fall off a cliff. Because Brock Purdy does not have that instinct that Patrick Mahomes does, that Josh Allen does, that Jaden Daniels has, that Joe Burrow has, that Lamar has, that Jared Goff has, that Jalen Hurts has. I can go on to this. I can go on. I can talk about this for an hour because this is why I have Brock Purdy falling off a cliff because he does not have a quarterback. He is not the type of quarterback that is a Patrick Mahomes, that is a Josh Allen, that all the guys I just said. He is not that type of quarterback. He is just a game manager that and I remember a specific game college play that he made that he threw a backwards pass that was intercepted by TCU, ran back for a pick 6. I remember that because Brock Purdy, I watched him during his time in college, transition to the NFL. He is not a top 10 quarterback, nor is the quarterback that can lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl. And that's why I have Brock Purdy falling off a cliff. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Who do you guys think, what player do you guys think is going to fall off a cliff? Let me know in the comments what you guys think down below. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to do me a favor and smash like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.